Hey, 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 secondhand soul fans! Hey, 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 secondhand soul fans. It's me, your friendly neighborhood soul man, Lyle Dynamite Miller. And I'm here with
Kathy Fern.
And Dave Drower, the sax man. How's it going out there?
How we doing, everybody? How we doing? Doing all right?
Good. Yep.
Here we are at episode 17 of the Secondhand Soul Band show. This is the only show in town, for us at least, because these are the only shows that are going on, are virtual. So let's get today's show started. Let's see what we got today. Well, today we're going to talk about the Bears game this week. We have a new segment, Not Fake News. Then we got our over-underrated segment. That's a favorite. Then we're going to go with Soul Lives On. We have a segment we're going to talk about soul living on. Someone who's in memoriam. Let's move on. And then we're going to meet the secondhand soul band. We got an interview with guitar player, the guitar man, Glenn Jacobson. And then we got a performance video from earlier this year. And your announcements and Q&A. So you guys make sure you put your comments down there in the comment section, and we'll get to them. All right, let's get started.
All right.
Oh man. So it was gonna happen. It was gonna happen. There's just it was a matter of time before the Bears
so
came back.
3-1.
We're 3-1, right? We scored 3 points, pretty much.
Yeah.
It was well, I guess they scored another one toward the end, but the game was over already.
Right.
Defense.
So
go ahead.
Here's my question here, right off. Was Nick Foles a mistake? Would Trubisky have done a better job against the Colts?
Absolutely. Nick Foles was not a mistake, and let me tell you why. He had like 3 or 4 passes that were just about 30 yards apiece, and we didn't get anything like that with Trubisky. Like, we're lucky if it was like a 10-yard pass, like that was a long pass for him, or a slant for 15. But he can never deliver on the long ball ever. So
No. And Foles did give us a chance, at least on field position, to push the ball down the field.
Right. And they were playing the Colts, I guess the best defense in football.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
Top scoring defense.
Right. And our defense didn't do terrible. One thing I've noticed is that there's not consistency in calling of pass interference. I've just noticed this, like, sometimes if the defensive back, has his arm on the guy, it's a pass interference. Other times it's not.
Right. There were a couple times I remember the guys going for the ball. I feel like it was 33 was going for the ball at the same time, and they called it pass interference. And they got great field position a few times on those calls.
Yep.
19 points is not a whole lot, but I guess this defense is pretty good when you get in field position, when you're starting inside of the 40 every time.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And if you
even on a kickoff, didn't they get
them to field goals, then you have a chance. But we didn't score anything. There was no urgency at all.
Yeah, they got a block in the back on one of the kickoff returns. That moved them there at the 40. It was all kind of stupid stuff like that.
So I'm not surprised. I just am not. But the positive thing is we're back on Thursday night.
Yeah.
Tomorrow night we're going to be back on. Right. And this is going to be against Tom Brady, and he's thrown a lot of interceptions for touchdowns, and I think the Bears could do some primetime damage. I'm very excited. So,
yeah, I feel better about that one.
Yeah. And no,
crazily, I feel better about them.
We're not getting rid of Nick Foles yet. Absolutely not.
No, not yet. I don't think so. Well, let's see what happens. But
how many games did we keep Trubisky in when he was
Yeah,
horrible?
exactly.
So like,
Right.
yeah, not worried about it. All right, what do we have coming up next here? We have a new segment, don't we?
A new segment, not fake news. This is just something that I wanted to let other musicians know about. It's there's a Facebook and a web page called Cover Band Central, and I got this information from them. They seem to be kind of on top of a lot of things that cover bands go through. Although we are a cover band, but we have originals, as Dave reminded me yesterday. So we do both, and this was just something that's come up for a lot of our musician friends, and I thought I would just clarify if you haven't seen this. First of all, go and join the page or go to the website that they have. There was some new Facebook, what they thought was new Facebook regulations coming out that were going to get you into some deep trouble with Facebook if you were live streaming music. And of course, that's the main way that a lot of our musician friends have been trying to earn money lately with no other options. And so it freaked everybody out. And the punishment was that your post would be removed, or even worse yet, your account would be deleted. So that would be really bad because we spent a lot of time building up our fan base on Facebook. So that would really suck. And the wording of the guidelines sounds scary. It says if you use videos on our products to create a music listening experience for yourself or for others, your videos will be blocked and your page, profile, or group may be deleted. And this includes live. So that was just like, wait, what? All of a sudden now this is when you guys decide to do this. So, but what we found out was that although the new guidelines come into effect across the site in October, the music guidelines for Facebook's terms of use of service have been in place since 2018, and the updates will not affect artists using the site to live stream gigs or share their music. Phew. So if you haven't heard the news, go carry on. Whatever you are doing, it's okay. You shouldn't be dinged. Although, like we say on this show, we have a hard time with posting some content and then getting flagged, right, Dave? So.
Yes, I believe that there was a Dave Goes Off just on Facebook.
I believe
itself.
there
was.
Yeah.
And I'm not surprised. And this is all legal mumbo jumbo again.
Yeah.
Where
nobody reads it when it says, do you agree to the terms and conditions? You're like, yeah, like I'm gonna sit here and read all of that, and I just check it off. So
and you have a choice.
Everyone out.
It's either it's agree and use the service, or disagree and then you can't use it. It's not
my way or the highway.
Right. It's a contract of adhesion, I believe is the legal term. Yes. Why I know that?
Contract of baloney.
Yeah, it's a monopoly.
Right.
It's a monopoly. This is what happens.
It's just like credit card ones. Like you can't say, "Oh, I want to change clause 17B, please." No, it's like either you accept it or you don't. You don't.
I had a doctor try to charge me for canceling an appointment, and they said, "Well, you signed the paper that said you knew about the policy." I'm like, "Do you know how many forms I signed to become a new patient here? Really?" And then I cancel one appointment, and you want to charge me? No. So I left. I went to another doctor.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, be careful what you're signing.
Yep.
All right, go time.
All right. It's time for Over Underrated. That segment that we is our favorite here on the Secondhand Soul Band Show, where we get an artist and we consider their career, the body of their work, and decide if they're overrated, underrated, or receiving just the right amount of praise. Who do we have this week, Dave?
Oh, we have a great. This is a great artist, Ray Charles, man.
Ray
Charles,
Brother Ray. That's what they call him. Yes, Ray Charles.
He deserves to be on this segment. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I know we like to be edgy all the time, but we got to have the greats on there, and Ray Charles,
Okay, so Ray Charles, I'm going to acknowledge his obvious greatness, but I'm trying to look here for some dings. Yes. Like I got to look for some dings just to try to balance it out.
Okay.
Hard to find any actually, but I will say that he a lot of his music came from church. It's just gospel music that he changed the lyrics to, which that's gone on for decades. It still goes on today in R&B. But if there's one thing I could say is that most of his influence directly came from gospel music, where I could even grab a song and show you, look, this song right here is I Got a Woman. You know, they talk about it in the movie a little bit, but that's most of his early stuff. But then he started mixing a lot of the stuff in there. You know, a lot of artists did that too, to create a new genre, to create the soul genre. But yeah, a lot of his early stuff,
to
just
create
gospel,
the soul.
straight gospel
Well,
music.
and you're, yeah,
Like the Swan Silver tone.
Let's just talk about jazz
from
in
way
general.
back then.
Like, well, where did jazz come from? Jazz came from a combination of Navy and church. Yeah, it's not. I don't know why you're starting with that. Like that's some kind of negative thing. Yeah, his career started.
That's the only thing I could think of.
With what he knew best. And why do churches even use music? Because it's powerful. And
yes.
Right. Exactly.
But they felt
power.
in the church back then that there was a spiritual connection to the music, and this music was so powerful and so great that it only belonged in that building and to those people, and in the purpose of worshiping God.
Wow.
So when he was using it to excite people in any other way, it was considered harmful. Now this might be a whole other conversation.
That has nothing to do with our conversation. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, come on, this is about underrated Ray Charles, and this guy is completely underrated. He toured pretty much his entire life. Like, he died on tour, and he was literally just always on tour. And this guy probably played more shows in one lifetime than every guy in our band, you know, will ever.
Sure, combined.
Have you guys ever seen him?
No, I never saw him live. No.
I got to see him just by a fluke because my sister-in-law's company was having a event at the Chicago Theater, and she's like, well, you're a musician, you should come with me. And I'm like, awesome. And it was there where he was, Ray Charles, with, you know,
wow.
with this beautiful meal, and Ray Charles, like, it was amazing. So yeah, I got to see him. It was so much fun.
Yeah. Now about the jazz and blues and music gumbo that he created. Okay. Now I've never heard, even since then, anybody take jazz, gospel, and blues and put them together in such a perfect way where you can't even tell there are a bunch of genres in there. It just sounds like that's Ray Charles. Like his singing style, his musical style, his arrangement style.
Right.
Is even like that.
Yes. It was a true musician, and I love his stuff. All his stuff is sort of upbeat. Some of it you could tell, like the times, like if you listen to some of the lyrics,
right.
They're very sexist. And you talk about the church. It's interesting that his lyrics are like that over the church songs. So maybe he's saying something there.
See, that's what I said. It's another video there, but that's some heavy stuff if you think about it.
Right. You know? That makes him even more of an artist. That's proving my point that this guy is underrated, because the level of sort of like human rights, it's very interesting just to see, because he was going out on a limb with a lot of this stuff.
I mean,
as a
way
black artist too. Right.
Yeah. It's almost like the early stuff that you saw in South Park that was like, anti-religion. It's kind of, secular is a little bit more, or I should say the world is a little more agnostic now, but back then that was extremely controversial to do that kind of stuff.
Right.
And Ray Charles doing, I Got a Woman over a gospel song was extremely controversial, but he did it because they listened, and he saw the reaction in the church and said, why can't this react the same reaction to my records?
Oh, and he got it. Yeah. So he's definitely a guy that's not going to be forgotten, but he's completely underrated.
Yes, definitely underrated.
Yeah. He's like, him and Stevie Wonder. There's a lot of commonalities. Especially since like Stevie Wonder, he was listening to Ray Charles and some other guys that I want to have on this segment, so I'm not going to let them out. But like those old school Motown guys and like blues guys. That's
I remember
really what made it.
I remember Smokey Robinson telling a story about one of his first shows when he was with the Miracles at the Apollo Theater, and they were trying to like get arrangements done, and they didn't have them. And Ray Charles wrote all the arrangements before the show and passed out the little onion scans, just a chord chart. And he couldn't see, but he heard everything and wrote their charts out before the show, and the band passed them out and played it like nothing happened.
Right.
That's Ray Charles.
Right. That's like stuff Mozart would do. Like
like a math problem to him. Like a math problem to him.
Yeah,
Did you just compare Ray Charles to Mozart?
Well, literally, like Mozart would go home and write down symphonies. Like every single note from every instrument, just violin 1, violin 2.
And hear it all.
Right, and remember it, like an hour and a half symphony. So
and Ray Charles was the same way. He could hear every single line that he wrote in those pieces.
There's not a lot of guys that can do that, but
Lyle, what did you say? How he lost his sight, which I thought was interesting.
So I read that he lost his sight because of glaucoma.
At age 10.
And I don't want to make light, obviously, of anybody who has like glaucoma. It's obviously a very serious disease, but I was under the impression that it's also very treatable. And of course, this is recently it's treatable, but damn it.
I know.
He was a 10-year-old kid, I think, and got glaucoma, and that's what took his sight all those years ago. And then you see a million commercials with people getting a laser, and oh man, I can see great. I can see all the way down the street now. And Ray Charles all this time. And what the hell? I know this glaucoma stuff was out. The laser treatment was out. While we were still alive, you couldn't get him some kind of something
to fix him later. Yeah,
give him a peek.
Oh, he wouldn't want it. He wouldn't want it.
I said it might have not. We might not have had the Ray Charles that we had. So unfortunately, but
some people say that sight impairment is not. It doesn't make anyone less, obviously. And maybe it did strengthen him, and like you said, maybe he didn't want to be fixed because it wasn't a fix, but. God, glaucoma just seems so treatable.
Yeah. It's like penicillin. I mean, before we had penicillin, people died of a lot of stuff that they didn't need to die from. So it's crazy, though. It's crazy how far we've come in so many years.
Yeah, that's true.
So Ray Charles, underrated.
Totally underrated.
Consensus today.
Yes, very decisive. All right. Let's move on. That was very satisfying. Way to go.
All right, Soul Lives On. So we thought we would approach an artist that we all love very much and lost way too soon. Donnie Hathaway we would have celebrated his 75th birthday as of October 1st.
Yeah.
And it's a huge loss to the musical community and, humankind, I guess. He was born in 1945, and unfortunately he died of suicide at age 33 in 1979. He was born in Chicago, raised by his grandma in the projects in St. Louis. He worked as a songwriter, a session musician. He was a producer for Curtis Mayfield's records, did arrangements for a lot of hits. And then he also took part in projects by the Staple Singers, Jerry Butler, Aretha Franklin, of course, the Impressions, and even Curtis Mayfield himself. And Lal, you were saying his story kind of mimics the movie A Beautiful Mind with Russell Crowe, and that makes me want to watch it again.
Yeah, I followed Donnie Hathaway most of my life, probably since I was a teenager. He was my first vocal influence because he's a bel canto classical singer, and he was trained in that way. And my classical teacher was like, okay, if you're going to be influenced by somebody, that person there is okay to sound like. And had such a beautiful voice, but his piano playing was way, I wouldn't say better, but he concentrated more on the piano, and his piano is probably one of the best soul pianos. You don't even hear that term, soul pianos. There's not a lot of them out there, like Chick Corea, a few guys. But Donnie had, if you think about the 70s and early 80s, those kind of instrumental, kind of jazzy, bossa nova sort of records, but they were soulful sounding.
Yeah, they still had like a 50s influence on them. Yeah.
Right. Those were probably Donnie Hathaway. Like there were so many records that he didn't sing on and he just played on, but damn, who was that playing the piano? And it was probably him. There's a song, Valdez in the Country. Look that one up. It's a big tune. You hear it all the time, but you don't hear his voice because it's just him playing the piano.
Yeah, I'm gonna
And
have to
then,
look that up and see some more of his music because that's, and now that I know that, I'm gonna listen for it and I'll probably recognize it.
yeah, this Christmas, everybody
Hmm.
hears that. People say, black people say, when you hear that song, Christmas is coming. When that song comes on the radio, it's like, oh wow, Christmas is around the corner.
Yeah.
But everybody knows that one. And then this song, "The Ghetto,"
Hmm.
um, was him. Who was it? Leroy Hudson. Was that? Was that?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, they co-wrote this tune.
He was his classmate at Howard University, where he was also classmates with Roberta Flack, who they went on to collaborate many times in the future. And fun fact about her, she enrolled in college at age 15 and graduated at age 19. So
Yeah,
she was a child prodigy for sure. And it's
yeah,
funny that she's not known for that. She's just known for her music.
right, right. I mean, and they were both like classically trained pianists and singers, and they 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 fit each other so well. They were like the male and female version of each other.
Yeah,
And it's
they
interesting
seemed
that he
like
was.
soulmates in some way, didn't they? Even when
Yeah,
they sang together, they created such an energy.
yeah, yeah. They did.
There's
All those
nothing like it.
duets. Yeah, so all those duets together.
Yeah.
And those songs are probably bigger than the songs they had individually.
And so
Um,
he's also known for a song that a lot of people didn't know. And you had mentioned this to me a while ago, and I did not believe you, but he wrote the theme song for Maude, of all
yeah,
things.
yep,
And now when you listen to it, I'm like, oh, that's totally him. I would never have known that.
yeah, yeah. I did a
But
number
hey,
of
you got
them.
to do what you got to do for money, right?
Yeah, that's right. He also covered one of his biggest recordings, "A Song for You." It's the one
Hmm.
with that famous piano riff. Doody 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 doody
That's such
doo.
a pretty song. Oh,
That was actually written by Leon Russell, and Donnie Hathaway just covered it.
and he just changed it up, right? He
He
made it
just
his
changed it
own.
up. It
He
just
made it
yeah,
his. He adopted it basically.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big record. That song, you got to hear him do it live. There's a bunch of his
Oh,
live
yeah.
stuff is all better. I mean, all of his recordings are great, and the orchestrations are really great. But when you hear him live, it's like a different.
Wow.
It's like going to church. Like he's really amazing live. You got to hear the Ghetto live. If you
I'm going to
listen
make
to
sure
that
I
one,
listen to that. I'll post that on our Facebook page for everybody to listen to as homework.
yeah. Oh, and his daughter is a famous singer, Layla Hathaway.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
I've heard
here's
of
a
her.
fun fact. Uh, if you listen to the Ghetto, I don't know if you're familiar with the record. It's like 17 minutes long, but towards the end of the record, there's like sound effects. There's like a woman getting attacked, and she's screaming, and he's like, "Leave her alone, man!" And you hear him say that while the drums are going and everything. The voice that's screaming is a baby Layla Hathaway.
Oh, wow.
That's her first recording.
That's pretty amazing. I mean,
Yeah,
how is that to have Donnie Hathaway as your father? Like, and it's just such a
yeah,
sad story too, because he suffered from severe bouts of depression and started exhibiting unusual behavior in 71. He was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia, and he was prescribed various medications. And at one point, he was taking 14 different pills in a day, twice a
yeah,
day. And his wife said that after a while, when his mental state improved, he kind of stopped taking the medication, which is the case with a lot of people with mental illness,
hmm
and started feeling better. But he just, went off the rails one day and in the middle of a recording session. And then they stopped and they found him dead later on. A few hours later, he jumped out the window. So
yeah,
unfortunately, back then, people didn't really know what to look for, and they kind of chalked it up as, oh, he's on drugs, or
right.
they didn't really understand what they were seeing. So if you know somebody and I think now is some kind of mental health month or so. I just saw something recently. I should have looked that up
Mm.
before we started the show, but I'll post a link if I find it. But if you know somebody and they need a little help, just reach out to them and provide them with some resources, and maybe they just need someone to listen to. So
Yeah,
who
and
knows what? Go ahead.
yeah, I was gonna say tragically, it's almost like the glaucoma thing because
Yeah.
a lot of the drugs they gave patients who had schizophrenia were antidepressants and just suppressants.
Mm,
And as an artist, this totally killed his creativity.
yeah.
And every time he performed live, it was live. And he's a pianist, and he's playing these
Electric, huh?
solos, and he can't come up with anything because the medicine made him stop thinking and
Right.
stop feeling. So that's probably why he couldn't wait to get off of it. And tragically, it may have ended his life,
Yeah.
wanting to reach out and be a part of the art.
Yeah. What music was there to be created had he lived? It's just, unfathomable what we might have gotten out of him. But
Yeah, we got
um,
neo soul. Every
yeah.
neo soul artist loves Donny Hathaway. They got a picture on the wall next to Martin Luther King and Jesus.
They did release a documentary earlier this year. I'm having trouble finding a link to it, but it was called Mr. Soul, a story about Donnie Hathaway. So I'm gonna keep looking for that. I would love to see that too. So if anybody knows where we can find that, post it in the chat. Would love to hear from you.
Yep. Here's to Donnie Hathaway.
Here's to Donnie Hathaway. Cheers. All right, moving on, Dave. Hey, Glenn, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Very well. Hey, everyone. This is Glenn Jacobson, our guitar player, and we're just checking in to see how you have been doing during the pandemic to keep yourself musically occupied.
Yeah, well, I just moved into a new house, so I have a new music room.
Oh, nice.
And so working on songs, coming up with riffs, doing some songwriting, and just trying to expand my learning a lot. There's a lot of great teachers on YouTube.
Yeah, that's cool. So how long have you been playing the guitar?
I've been playing since I was 8 or 9 years old.
Yeah, and how did you start? Was it something you wanted or your parents gave you, or?
Well, my dad used to have a guitar that hung on the wall that my mom used to dust a lot. So when I was little, I used to watch her dust it, and it was kind of just up there teasing me for a long time until one day I asked my dad to show me how to play. So
that's cool.
he showed me a couple of chords, and took it from there.
Nice. And when you first started playing, who were you listening to?
Well, my parents had anything from the late 60s to the early 70s. My parents had a music collection or a record collection that basically had whatever the top artists of that period. But also, my dad was a huge country music fan. So
okay.
I started out playing country music like Hank Williams and
nice.
Arnold, and all those old 40s and 50s type artists. So that's really how I got started.
Excellent. And do you remember the first tune you learned how to play?
Yep. My dad taught me how to play Jambalaya by Hank Williams. It was 2 chords. 2 chords and 2 strings.
Perfect.
So it was a real easy song to learn, and that's how it started.
Cool. What type of music or musical genres do you like to perform, and is that the same as what you like to listen to?
Well, it's pretty much been what I started out with, the 60s and 70s stuff, and I like all types of music, and continue to try to expand my horizons as far as listening to different things. But I'd have to say that as far as my influences and what the amalgamation of what I do is definitely from the 60s and 70s. There were a lot of great guitar players during that time.
Okay. And who's a major influence on your playing? Who would you say?
Again, the 60s and 70s guys. When I was little, I was listening to a lot of the old country records that my dad had, but then also you had the Monkees happening, so a TV show. So we always watched the Monkees, and then the other real big one for me was Glenn Campbell, the Glenn Campbell Good Time Hour.
I remember that.
Just unbelievable people on his show, and obviously he was an unbelievable talent.
Yeah.
So.
And what do you do for a day job? How do you make your living?
I am working for General Mills currently, and just a great company. Started there back in December, so it'll be almost a year. I can't even believe it.
Wow, that was fast.
Yeah.
So it's great to catch up with you. Anything else you want to add?
Is this where I say Motown, funk, and soul?
Yes. Thank you, Glenn.
Thanks, Kathy.
See you
Good
soon.
to see you. Stay safe.
1, 2, 3, 4. Come on, I want to see everybody If you're thinking you're too cool to boogie, boy, oh boy, have I got news for you. Everybody here tonight must boogie. Let me tell you, you are no exception to the rule. Gonna change it up. Here we go. Get on up on the floor, 'cause we gonna boogie, oogie, oogie till you just can't boogie no more. Boogie, boogie no more. You can't boogie no more. Boogie, boogie no more. Listen to the guitar. 1, 2, 1, 2, 2. Boogie. There's no time to waste. Let's get the show on the road. Listen to the music and let your body flow. The sooner we begin, the longer we got to groove. Listen to the music and let your body move. Get on up on the floor, 'cause we gonna boogie, oogie, oogie till you just can't boogie no more. Boogie, boogie no more. You can't boogie no more. Boogie, boogie no more. Listen to the bass man. Mr. Kevin News! Get down, boogie, oogie, oogie. Get down, boogie, oogie, oogie. Get down, boogie, oogie, oogie. Get down. One more time. Get down, boogie, oogie, oogie. Get down, boogie, oogie, oogie. Get down, boogie, oogie, oogie. Get down. You guys look fantastic.
Man, that was fun to watch.
Yeah, yeah. I miss those days.
Oh my God, that was the crowd was crazy that night.
Yep, yep. And the sky, that sky was something else. That was the real sky. It looks like it was like a backdrop or something.
It does, right? And the audio was really good too. I really liked it. Good job, Dave.
Yeah, that one worked out pretty well. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, yeah.
Till next summer.
I know it's coming, guys. I've already confirmed. I've confirmed some gigs for next year. So hang in there. We're building slowly but surely. We're getting there. So
we'll be back.
I can't imagine that, you know, I don't even want to say it out loud and jinx it. We all know there's a lot of jinxing something. So let's just silently say, here, where are my fingers? There we go.
Yes, 2021 should be.
2021, here we come.
Yes.
That's right.
It can only get better, my friends.
Oh,
So.
yeah. Oh, yeah. So, hey, we got a big announcement here for an event. It's not quite what you might think. We would love to see you all in person, but we decided to do a Netflix watch party. And if you don't know what that is, there's a small little piece of software that you install. It's called a Chrome extension. You just Google it and you can find it on your computer. And it shows up as a little NP for Netflix party, little red letters on your bar where next to all your icons. And we'll start a Netflix movie, and then you'll get the invite link, and then we all join in and watch the movie in real time together. And then there's a chat window along the side where we can chat about it. So we're going to do this on Saturday, October 17th at 7 p.m. And we're going to watch a very interesting movie. I'm very excited about it. It's called What Happened, Miss Simone. It's using never before heard recordings, rare archival footage, and her best known songs. It's the story of the legendary singer and activist Nina Simone. So I always wanted to know more about her. So I would normally watch something like this by myself. So let's all watch it together and learn together. It'd be really exciting. So look for that on our Facebook page. There'll be a link there, and we can invite 5,000 people. There's no limit. So invite your friends. Bring your drinks, get some popcorn, and we'll be all online together watching the movie. So again, that's Saturday, October 17th at 7 o'clock.
All right, everybody, make sure you sign up at our website for an email, and we'll send you that link in an email.
For
and
sure.
You can all join us.
Yep. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. It was so great to see you guys. Got any good plans for the week? Or more of the same?
More of the same.
Sit in front of a computer.
To the couch, to the living room.
Drink late at night.
Yep.
Drink lots of coffee in the morning, basically.
What is night?
Yes.
What time is it? What day is it?
Oh,
we'll get there.
All right. See you next week.
All right, guys. See you next week.
Hey, secondhand soul fans.